أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى والذي خلق السماوات والأرض بغير عمد ترونها تبارك وتعالى هو الأول والآخر وإليه المنتهى نحمده ونستعينه ونثني عليه ونؤمن به ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف بريته ومبلغ رسالاته العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المحمود الأحمد أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. I remind all of us to uphold the taqwa of Allah in this holy month, inshallah. As I said 2 weeks ago, the month of Ramadan is a month in which we are reminded of how temporal and insignificant this dunya is. We're staying away from food and drink. If these were actually important, Allah wouldn't keep us away from them. Yes? So in this month, as Ayatollah Jawadi says, we become more angelic and more like the angels who are also not in need of food or drink, to remind us of another dimension of our existence, not just the physical side of us. And so it's a good time to remind and remember how that this dunya that we strive for so much, which we should be striving for, of course. No one's saying that this dunya should not be strived for. But just to keep in the back of the mind the insignificance of it, although we have to strive for it. This perspective is very important, and you find it throughout Nahj al-Balagha. And so also today, I want to share one of the sermons or one of the sayings of Nahj al-Balagha in this regard, of how Imam Ali alayhi salam, which these days are dedicated to him, of course, how he looks at it. It says that a person, according to this here in Nahj, it says a person by the name of Dirar bin Hamza was with Muawiyah. He had entered upon Muawiyah, and Muawiyah asks him about Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. So this individual, he says, when he wants to describe Ali, this is how he describes Ali to Muawiyah. He says, verily I saw him several times while the night had cast its veil over everywhere, meaning nightfall, during night. وَقَدْ أَرْخَى اللَّيْلُ سُدُولَهُ وَهُوَ قَائِمٌ فِي مِحْرَابِهِ, while he was standing in his mihrab, holding on to his beard. Holding on to his beard. And يَتَمَلْمَلُ تَمَلْمُلَ السَّلِيمِ. Tamalmul means apparently when you're bitten by a snake or you're in pain and agony, what happens? You're twisting and turning to yourself, that kind of thing. When you're in agony. So he's in a state like that, as if, while he's holding his beard, which back then apparently, and even till today, if a person is, a tragedy befalls them, the first thing that they do is they might grab their beard or their hair or something. Anyway, it says that he was holding on to his beard and twisting and turning like a person that has been bitten by a snake. And weeping like a person who is grievous, hazin. And he was saying, so this is a person, according to this narration here, he is explaining Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam to Muawiyah. Those of us who see Imam Ali as only the one who had the Dhul Faqar, this is also Ali, by the way. That he's saying, who's he speaking to? Of course, he's speaking to Allah, he's doing his munajat, he's speaking to the dunya and addressing the dunya in this context. Ya dunya, O dunya, O dunya. Ilayki anni, get away from me. Abi ta'arradti am ilayya tashawwaqti, are you presenting yourself to me? Now, the dunya of Ali is different than the dunya of this day and age. The little bit of dunya back then, nowadays of course dunya is much heavier than it was back then. There's so much going on in the world today, so much accessibility, so much communication, and anything you want is at your fingertips. Back then it wasn't like this, but that dunya even worries him. That dunya. That same dunya that he's working for and everyone else is supposed to work for, but it worries him. Right? And so this Ramadan, this month of Ramadan that Allah has prescribed for us the fast within it, it is a time to always remember and reflect, because we have become a little lighter, no puns intended of course, lighter of course physically because we're not eating, but also spiritually lighter, angelic as I said. He says he's worried about that dunya, not this dunya of the smartphones. Abi ta'arradti, are you presenting yourself to me? Or are you tashawwaq? Tashawwaq comes from shawq. Are you eager for me? So right here you can tell that he's not the one going after dunya necessarily, although he's working in it. Ali was a hard worker. He's working in it, but he's not chasing after it. Okay? Yet this dunya, this is the quality of this dunya. Even though you run away from it maybe, it will still come after you. As a matter of fact, we have hadiths that say, the more you run away from it, the more it will come after you. So here Ali is complaining or is worried. And he is saying, are you presenting yourself to me? Or are you eager for me? Then he goes on to say, you will not get that opportunity to impress me. Deceive some other person. I have no concern with you. I have divorced you 3 times. So in fiqh, okay, in fiqh, when a divorce happens 3 times, there is no going back anymore. Okay, we have this in fiqh. Now there are some details I don't want to get into, but all in all, when you divorce somebody 3 times, that person has to marry someone else and then get divorced from someone else for you to be able to go back to them. Like 3 times is it, okay? It shows that you guys are not a match probably. So if you want to go back for the 4th time, that person has to have first married somebody else, that woman, and then you can go back. If it just so happens that she's also divorced by that other person. Anyway, there are some details within Shi'i fiqh and Sunni fiqh and this talaq 3 times and all that, but the point here is this, that Ali says, I've done something that doesn't allow me to go to you. No matter how halal I want it to be, even as if, you know, when you divorce 3 times and you want to go back for the 4th time, you want to do it in a halal way, right? You want to remarry so that things are halal again. But even though you want to do it in that way, it's not possible. There's another reason why it's going to be haram. Because it's a 3-time talaq that took place. So you can't go back. So Ali says, there's no way back for me and you. We're not going to connect. But Ali, you're working in this dunya and building this dunya. Before you were Khalifa, you were working hard. After you're Khalifa, there's other things that you're doing. In the end, you're serving humanity, you're serving the Muslim Ummah, correct? He says, that's true. I'm in it, but I'm not with it. And so I feel that this is lifetime that Allah has given us is an opportunity for us to grow to a point where we are in it, but we're not with it. Easier said than done, of course. But this is something to have in the back of our minds in this month of Ramadan. What's the problem that Ali has with this dunya? He says, your life is short. That's the problem. Think about it. We're using the talaq example here, so let's talk about marriage a little bit. You find the person that is appearance-wise is the person of your dreams. But you know, once you marry them, they're going to die a year and a half later. You know it for a fact. Usually people won't be as interested. If they know that this person, although they check all the boxes, this person, I'm 25 years old, let's say, I have 67 years ahead of me, inshallah, something like that. And I'm going to need to have a partner in life. And I found the perfect person, but I know they're going to die in 6 months. Do I even go through the trouble of marrying and then getting connected? That person themselves will say, no, I'm dying in a few months, you know? That's the problem. So even if it has no deficiencies whatsoever, if it's the perfect individual, you're still not going to be interested. Why? Because you know in the long run it's going to hurt you more. Because once you do get married and you do get attached, then that person dies off. Yeah? It's all grief and sorrow after that. You probably might not even remarry and hurting yourself even more. These are just examples, of course. Here, Ali, he says, your life is short. Right after he says, I have divorced you 3 times, your life is short. My problem with you, dunya, is that you are going to leave me At the worst time, when I'm most attached to you, you're going to leave me. So, talaq 3 times. Me and you don't have much to do with each other. Your importance is little, your aspirations are base, are low. Alas, the provision is little. So now, after addressing the dunya, he addresses himself. And this is a reminder for all of us as well. He says, ah. Now the translation says, alas. Ah, in Arabic or Farsi, probably Urdu too, is when you get very upset and you wail out, you scream out something out of pain and grief. Ah. In other words, kind of like ouch, okay, but much more emotional. Ouch is for physical pain. Ah is for something that is taking away from your soul. But what are you upset about? Alas, from what? Min qillati zad. The little provision that I have. So this dunya is for us to collect provision from it for the akhirah. He says, I don't have enough provision. But the problem is, طول الطريق, the path though and the journey is a long one. بعد السفر, it's a long and a hard one, this journey. So you need proper provision, but I don't have enough provision. And that's what we have to be careful about in this dunya that we are in, but inshallah we're not too much with it, is that we are walking on eggshells, making sure that we take from the dunya the amount we want, that is halal. At the same time, we are cognizant of the fact that I have to build something else as well in the middle of all of this life that I'm living in. That's the interesting part. That is what's so cool about Allah's creation and putting us here. He doesn't say, go live in the mountain. He says, live here, but keep that balance, be very careful, inshallah, so you make it to the destination and understand that the journey is a long one. وَعَظِيمِ الْمَوْرِدِ. And the last thing that he says is that place that we're going to be entering into, that destination, Ali says, is azim, is great. The Day of Judgment is huge. They say that when Imam al-Hasan was passing away, he was weeping, and they said, what are you worried about? You're set. He said that the place we're going to enter is a big one. Day of Judgment is huge. Yes, even if someone's going to make it, even if we believe that they're infallible and they're going to make it, they have nothing to worry about. Their understanding and ma'rifah of Yawm al-Qiyamah still doesn't allow them to take it lightly. Yes. So these are all reminders for us in this holy month of Ramadan. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. صدق الله العظيم. If we can move forward, please. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين أثني عليه حامدا وأذكره مسبحا لا إله إلا هو له الأسماء الحسنى والمثل الأعلى تبارك وتعالى ثم أصلي وأسلم على نجيبه وحبيبه وحافظ سره الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل وسلم على علي أمير المؤمنين وعلى فاطمة الزهراء سيدتي نساء العالمين وعلى سبطي نبي الرحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. اللهم صل وسلم على أئمة الهدى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف القائم المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات. عباد الله أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. Once again, this month, according to the Quran, or the fast has been prescribed for us to attain this taqwa, teaching ourselves that we can abstain from things, not only if they're haram, but even if they're halal and they've become haram because of the month of Ramadan. So once this month ends, yes, it'll be easier for us. We're exercising in this month. So inshallah, Allah gives us tawfiq to attain this taqwa in this month and throughout our lives and uphold it, inshallah. In these days of the Shahadat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, I felt that it would be a good idea to speak a little bit about those who took him from the Muslim Ummah, took his life from the Muslim Ummah, and draw some lessons from that. Us as Muslims living today, and we are subject to an onslaught, a soft onslaught and war of ideologies and so on. We need to equip ourselves with what we need to. And so that's what I want to talk about in this khutbah. First things first, I saw something from Ayatollah Jawadi I felt it was very nice to start this khutbah off with. And that is that if you have noticed, it says that in that hadith that ashqal ashqiya, the worst of the worst is the one who kills Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, which is Ibn Muljim. Some say Muljam, some say Muljim. This Ibn Muljim, I want to say, represents something for us today that we have to take something away from. But why is he ashqal ashqiya? According to this great scholar, he says, look, I just want us to understand how wretched he is, so then we can try to figure out what went wrong with him, so at least we don't, we're not on that same wavelength as him. No one's going to be as bad as him. La'natullahi alayh. But all in all, you don't want to be anywhere close either, correct? Okay, so let's first understand how wretched this individual was. Ayatollah Jawadi, he explains it in this way, which was interesting. He says, let's look at Shimr. Alayhi al-la'na wal-'adhab. Shimr is one who killed an imam, according to some, at least, reports. He's the one who we all know what he's involved in. This is Shimr, but who killed Shimr? Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, correct? Or his people killed him. So a person who kills an imam but is killed by a non-imam. But with Ibn Muljim, what do we have? He killed an imam, and who took his life eventually? Imam al-Hasan, according to the history. Ayatollah Jawadi says, you have to be the most wretched of people. How low have you gone and sunk that you, one, take the life of an imam, and two, your life is taken by an imam. Wow. And that's a very interesting point. So this person, because they say on the day of Ashura, those who attacked Imam Hussein, those who were on the opposition, these were people who, one of them had eaten haram, they filled their bellies with haram. This one is an adulterer, that one's this, that one's that. These are sins. Let's look at Ibn Muljim. Is he known for great sins? Of course, he committed the greatest sin of all time, which was killing Imam Ali alayhi salam. But other than that, what is he? He's actually a Quran teacher, they say. Ashqal Ashqiya has a relationship with the Quran. So what's wrong here? What do we want to talk about here? What's the main issue with him and all of the Khawarij, as they were called, who eventually took the life of Imam Ali and changed history forever, I would say. You know why? Ali ibn Abi Talib, Battle of Jamal had its own circumstances. Battle of Siffin, I would say, is the main deal in Imam Ali's life. Jamal is also very significant. And there's explanations to all of this. It's very significant because they're the ones who opened the door to fighting the Khalifa of your time. That's a different story though. Siffin is the main issue, and Ali alayhi salam identifies this. And so once the Battle of Siffin stops because of the arbitration and hakamiyya that takes place, once he gets the chance to go and attack Muawiyah again, he puts together the army and wants to go back and fight Muawiyah. He identified the issue, being in Muawiyah. But you know what happened? These dumb Khawarij, okay, they got in the way. And a third battle ensues, but not with Muawiyah. The second one was with Muawiyah. The third one was supposed to be with Muawiyah too. But it didn't happen with Muawiyah. Why? A distraction. An insignificant, weak group causes the battle of Nahrawan to take place, and they are exterminated in that battle. But the problem is, the people of Ali and the army of Ali, after that third battle, they're done. They say, let's just go back. They were on their way to fight Muawiyah. On the way they fought Nahrawan. The Khawarij were no big deal. And so the idea, the plan was to make your way to Muawiyah. But then after that, they go back. They falter a little bit. They're done. They're tired. And so what was going to be one of the greatest battles of all time, where the root of evil was uprooted, all of a sudden doesn't happen. All because of this group of individuals who eventually were exterminated. Their ideology wasn't, though. Yes, they changed the course of history. Muawiyah is left alone. And of course, this same Khawarij removed Ali ibn Abi Talib, so Muawiyah now is uncontested. Imam al-Hasan doesn't have the people that it takes to go against him. And we know the history from there. It just leads up to Ashura, everything. Okay, having said all of that, these Khawarij, that were such an insignificant group of people, but such a nuisance and such a problem in history of Islam, let's talk about what was wrong with them, because they are the most religious, seemingly, of them all. The problem is, brothers and sisters, is that no, we sometimes, our definition of knowledge and ilm, and as a result maybe religiosity, is off a little bit. These people, they seem like they're alim, they're jahil. Until today we see even the extremists and fundamentalists, some of them, the way they act. It's all the same thing again and again, all the way till today. So the point I want to make today, and I'll talk about it a little bit, inshallah, is that these people who thought they understood the Quran and all of that, okay, that was a part of history that passed. Inshallah, no one's going to be like them. But as I said, we don't want to be in the same kind of camp. Although we don't do what they do, but we don't want to have the same color, so to speak, that they do. I want to be miles away from this ideology. And so what am I trying to get at? In this day and age, when you look around, I'll just give you one example. Have you heard of Shia Twitter, for example, or Muslim Twitter? Yeah? One of the biggest problems of today that plagues the Muslimin is this idea of, I'm not even going to talk about the platform or the social media platform or anything like that, just all in all the mentality that you see today in this day and age. Because brothers and sisters, us who are older, we're going to move on. We've done our time in this dunya. We're looking at the next generations, and what do we see? We see a storm coming. There's something, a brew, that it just seems like you just can't fight it. An ideology. What kind of ideology? An ideology of the Khawarij that says, I understand. But do they understand? No. As a matter of fact, they're the exact opposite of understanding. I want to share with you some lines from another part of Nahj al-Balagha. Look at who Ali ibn Abi Talib is complaining about. And we will see, can we identify what he's saying like 1400 years ago to what we see today? And then I want to draw a conclusion from all of that. What does he say in khutbah number 17? I would like the brothers and sisters maybe to look that up later if they have time. In that khutbah, he speaks of two types of people that Allah hates the most. Abghadun nas. Abghad comes from bughd. Right? Abghadun nas, the most hated. He talks about one group, and then he talks about the second. The second group is who I want to speak about today, although he's speaking about the ones who take positions of passing verdicts and fatwas and all of that. But all in all, you get the gist of what he's saying, and you see it is applicable to today even. Why? Some parts of what he says. He says, the other man is he who has picked up ignorance. They are after picking ignorance. You look at a tree, you see the fruits in the tree, you take the rotten fruits only. He moves among the ignorant, is senseless in the thick of mischief, blind to the advantages of peace. Okay? Aqdul Hudna, it says here. Aqdul Hudna is when people are getting along. What's happening today? A bunch of jahils, really, who think they're alims. Not alims in the sense of wearing a turban. No, the guy knows he's not a scholar, but he feels that he can speak about Islam and tashayyu and represent it. Where? On a platform that thousands of people might see. And you know, the juicier and more controversial it is, the more follows it has, the more reshares and retweets and all of that it has. So you will find that the scholars have been marginalized, and the ones who make the most noise are the ones who are the mainstream as if now, and representing and destroying without even knowing. What have they done, these individuals? They've learned the game, but they haven't learned the knowledge. They've learned the game. If you learn the game, you're good to go. The problem is, in the long run, you're going to destroy everything. So they've learned that which, if you knew less of it, it might have been better, actually. If I pick rotten fruit from the tree, less of it is better or more from it is better? Less of it is better. And look what Ali says here. He goes out early morning to collect things whose deficiency is better than plenty. They go and they accumulate more and more of what? Of that material that's going to get them the more wawas. That's going to get them the more follows. That's going to get controversy going. That's going to make them feel better because I trashed this person, I trashed that person in front of thousands of people. I feel better now. Okay. Till when he has quenched his thirst from polluted water. This person is drinking rotten water. This knowledge, this so-called knowledge that they're accumulating, but rather what they're actually after is what is going to shut the other side up, for example. That polluted water that they've quenched, they drink, accumulate more and more of, although less of it is better than more of it, once they have quenched their thirst with this polluted water, and now they are ready to go into the free world and speak on behalf of Islam or on behalf of Tashayyu', he sits among the people as a judge responsible for solving whatever is confusing to the others. I have your answers. No, you don't have the answers. You representing, for example, the Shia school of thought, what you just said in this little post of yours that got 1,000 or 2,000 people to see it and then share it and cause other problems, this, what you just said, I as a Shia, I can answer it. I can answer it. It's all jahl. It's weakness. You are just showing how weak we are. Thank you very much. Something that the opposition couldn't have done to us, you yourself did for them. MashaAllah. And they feel like they have accomplished so much. It's just that self-gratification that we have and are dealing with in this day and age. This is what you see out there. This is what Ibn Muljam took the life of Ali, brothers and sisters. But you know what that really translates to, in my opinion? Jahl took the life of Ali. The fact that Jahl took, you can tell that Jahl is what took the life of Ali, manifested in the likes of Ibn Muljam, who is the teacher of Quran, for example, they say. That they say during the time of the second Khalifa, he said, put his house next to the masjid, according to some accounts. Put his house next to the masjid because people can learn Quran from him. But this is his understanding from the Quran. And there's so much in Nahj al-Balagha where Ali talks about this and reminds that, look, these people are using the Quran, but look at how they're using it and all of that. Now, mashallah, today even, the ones who represent Islam sometimes or represent Shi'ism sometimes out there on social media, for example. Social media is just an example, by the way. What I'm talking about encompasses everything. It encompasses whatever platform or podium that you stand behind. Anyway, these individuals, I forgot what I was explaining, and I'll just continue with whatever else I had in mind. These people who represent, this is what I was going to say, that at least Ibn Muljam knew how to recite Quran. Sometimes they don't even know how to recite Quran. They will cite a verse and there's like 5 mistakes in it. Like, what are we doing? It just shows that you haven't done pronouncing this letter like this, that letter like that of the Quran. Baba, like, this is the bare minimum that someone expects of you as a representative of religion. Anyway, I just want to end with this, that this ideology, okay, this ideology is one that doesn't run after and chase the ilm and acknowledge that I don't have it when it doesn't have it. Not only that, but it reaches a point where when the actual knowledge comes, they are turned off by it. They don't like it. They're not comfortable around it. No, what you said goes against what I've learned all my life. They've been saying all my life. What you said goes against our culture, goes against this, goes against that. Well, as I said, we don't want to fall under that same category of the Khawarij. I just want to share with you this one line and then I'll end. That it says in another part of Nahj al-Balagha, Ali alayhi salam was sitting amongst his people once and he said something very wise. And some of the Khawarij, or one of the Khawarij was there. Some of you might have heard this. What does this Khariji say? When Ali says something very wise in that situation, and the people all acknowledge how wise and knowledgeable it was, this Khariji, he says, قَاتَلَهُ اللَّهُ كَافِرًا. May Allah fight him, kill him, this Ali. Khawarij hated Ali. May Allah kill him. this kafir. Ma afqahahu. How smart he is though. They see the fiqh, the hikmah. Fiqh here means, in the general sense of the term, means deep knowledge of something. They see the deep knowledge of Ali, instead of embracing it, they're turned off by it. Why? Because it goes against what I see, what I think. Well, are you one of the ulama? Back then, ulama means the ma'sumin. Are you one of them? Or are you not? No, I'm not. Of course they're not. Ma afqahahu. And so this says the people that were around Ali, they jump and grab him and they want to do something to him. And Ali says, don't hurt him. Innama huwa sabbun bisab. If he cursed, you curse. Or afwan an dhan, but even better, forgive him, just let him go. Now these same Khawarij that were speaking ill and slandering, it reached the point, of course, where they drew their swords, and that's when Ali had to counter them. Yes, and the whole battle and everything took place. But before that, look at how open he is to hearing things from these people, and he's tolerating them. But the point I'm trying to make here is this, brothers and sisters, that these individuals, this ideology doesn't like the light. It wants to stay in darkness. He acknowledges that there's wisdom there, but he says, may Allah kill this kafir. Well, who made him a kafir? You did? Maybe your ideology is wrong. And where does that put us today? Where does that put us today? Back then, you had the haqq there, and this person can't identify the haqq. In this day and age, where there's a lot of gray area, there are still people out there who think they figured it all out for humanity. And they tell people, come, I will tell you exactly what the haqq is. And even if they are on the haqq, the arguments are so weak that it makes it look like batil. The margin for error in this day and age is very, very slim. I say it all the time. Even if you try your best, you have good intentions, inshallah, Allah will forgive you if you were mistaken. But whether you like it or not, the effects of your mistakes will haunt you and I. It's like saying, I didn't know there was wine in front of me. I thought this was water. I drank it. Okay, you are ma'dhur, excused in Yawm al-Qiyamah, because you didn't know. But still, you're going to be intoxicated by that drink. The effects are going to happen. The mistakes that we make, thinking that we figured it all out, yes, the repercussions of that will haunt us, whether or not we are excused or not. And I will say, lots of times we're not even excused because we didn't do the proper work. According to Ali, we just drank that rotten water, polluted water, so much that we thought there's something that I have now, and then we sat in a position where we are, quote unquote, guiding the ummah. We seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we ask all of you to keep everyone in their du'as on these ensuing nights of Qadr, insha'Allah ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ صدق الله العلي العظيم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله وأنه حجة الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد كذلك الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. إلهي إن كنت بئس العاب فأنت نعم الرب. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله، لا إله إلا الله، لا إله إلا الله. تصبيح فاطمة الزهراء والسلام عليها.
الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا علي يا عظيم يا غفور يا رحيم، أنت الرب العظيم الذي ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. وهذا شهر عظمته وكرمته وشرفته وفضلته على الشهور، وهو الشهر الذي فرضت علي الصيام، وهو شهر رمضان الذي أنزلت فيه القرآن وجعلت فيه ليلة القدر وجعلتها خيرا من 1000 شهر. فيا ذا المن ولا يمن عليك، من علي بفكاك رقبتي من النار فيمن تمن علي، وادخلني الجنة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Mu'mineen, just a few quick announcements, inshallah. Before I start anything else, I would like to first and foremost thank and say Jazakallah to all our members, donors, volunteers, and program sponsors for your support and your contributions during this month of Ramadan. May those be financial, in kind, or with your time. Alhamdulillah. Announcements for tonight's program, inshallah. Amal night tonight here at CFK. The program will start at 7 p.m. and we'll have Marsiya and then a speech and then Sheikh Mahdi's speech, inshallah. After iftar at 9:30, we will have Matam Dari by Anjuman Sher Khuda. And inshallah, the amal for the night, the short amal, are scheduled to begin at 10 p.m. The extended amal will be an hour later, so around 11:15 p.m. inshallah, the extended amal will start with a break in the middle. I would like to request everybody who's intending to attend inshallah tonight and the nights coming to please consider registering for iftar using the link provided in WhatsApp groups. It helps us tremendously. It is not mandatory, of course, but it helps us tremendously in order to plan for food ordering so that we can avoid shortages and we can avoid wastage. Alhamdulillah. Just a reminder, we have our night before Eid festival, inshallah, planned here in collaboration with Wisdom Academy, Sunday, April 30th. And we also have our Eid picnic, inshallah, scheduled for Saturday, May 7th. Details for these events, inshallah, will be communicated and have been already on our WhatsApp group, on our WhatsApp group and our website, cfkdfw.org, inshallah. Let us now recite a Surah Fatiha for Marhum Afzal Ali Badami, son of Hussein Ali Badami. The Marhum passed away today in Karachi, and it is requested of you to please offer Salaat al-Wahshat tonight. Marhum Sayyid Ali Muqaddas, son of Wahid al-Hassan. Marhuma Adiba Khatun. Marhum Arshad Mahdi. Marhum Azhar Hussain. And the Marhumin of Brother Sultan Rizvi and family. And the Marhumin of all the sponsors for all these past nights and the coming nights in the month of Ramadan. All our Marhumin and the Marhumin of the Ummah, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ashhadu anna Aliyan waliyullah wa annahu hujjatullah. Hayya ala as-salati, hayya ala as-salah, hayya ala al-falahi, hayya ala al-falah. حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله أكبر سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر أستغفر الله الله أكبر سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده الله أكبر بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كذلك الله ربي. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم اجعلنا أقرب من تقرب إليك، وأوجه من توجه إليك، وأنجح من سألك وتضرع إليك. اللهم اجعلنا ممن كأنه يراك إلى يوم القيامة الذي فيه نلقاك، ولا تمتنا إلا على رضاك. اللهم واجعلنا ممن أخلص لك بعمله وأحبك في جميع خلقك. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد، واغفر لنا مغفرة جزما حتما لا نقترف بعدها ذنبا ولا نكتسب خطيئة ولا إثما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد صلاة نامية دائمة زاكية متتابعة متواصلة مترادفة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين. السلام على الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. السلام على 9 المعصومين من ولد الحسين. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء ومعين الضعفاء والفقراء، أيها الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان. الأمان الأمان من فتن الزمان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك، وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.